We have a race for the world number one on the WTA Tour as Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek battle it out for the second straight year to find out who's going to be the world number one heading into next year. A little bit of a deja vu moment, guys, because remember what happened last year, right? In 2023. Sabalenka finished runner-up at the U.S. Open and then became the world number one. After that, Swiatek was behind in points. She had to dig down, right? She ended up winning the China Open. And then from there, she goes on to win the WTA Finals, take that world number one right back, went into this year as the world number one, and held it up until just last week, this week. It's very short time frame here. Now, this year, kind of the same storyline, a tidbit different though, right? Swiatek had it by a long shot, right? Sabalenka, though, dominating these hard courts, right? She wins at Cincinnati, wins the U.S. Open, run to the quarterfinals at the China Open, and then wins the Wuhan Open, now overtaking Iga Swiatek. Now, not by much. The points, guys, when you look at it, it's neck and neck, right? I mean, they are both so close in the points. So as we head to the WTA Finals, the thing to look at is it going to be Sabalenka? Is it going to be Swiatek? And so much to break down with this. First off, if you're Iga Swiatek, the question that comes in is there's a lot of unknowns here, right? She's going through a coaching change at the moment, working with a new coach. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Do they got to work out some kinks together? Also, being the fact that Swiatek has taken some time off as she was going through all this right after the U.S. Open, we haven't seen her on the tennis courts, right? Typically, usually banked up reps are good things instead of rest. Now, Swiatek, I know there's some fatigue on the side of Swiatek and whatnot, so, we'll see how that all plays out. There's so many unknowns on the side of Swiatek. But now on the side of Sabalenka, guys, I'm pretty confident in saying this, where I think at the end of the year, the new world number one, or in this case would be, and still the world number one, will be Sabalenka, just because of what we've been seeing. Remember last year, guys, in 2023 with Sabalenka, what we saw? We saw her, right? She finally won that first major championship at the Australian Open, but then there was a lot of big moments that there were still those collapses from Sabalenka. Maybe not as drastic as in the past, but we saw her in a French Open semi be up in the third set and lose to Karolina Muchova. Then we saw her at Wimbledon in the semifinals against Ons Jabeur and control the matchup. A little bit of a collapse there. Then we saw her make a run to the U.S. Open final, up a break in the second set, if I'm not mistaken, goes on to lose 3 sets to Coco Gauff. And then after that, things never really essentially picked themselves back up for Sabalenka for the rest of 2023. Now, this year here, 2024, bit of a different story. We saw her, win the Australian Open. The French Open maybe didn't go technically as planned, but she had a very good clay court season right through. Then had that injury problem, which was a shame, had to miss Wimbledon, but then responded in a big way. Just look what she did to the hard courts this year. I talked about it already, right? Winning virtually all of these big major tournaments here on the hard courts, right? Wins at Cincinnati, the U.S. Open, Wuhan, deep run at the China Open. She's dominating right now. I feel like it's a little bit of a different story this year for Sabalenka than it was last year. Now, with that being said, never count on Iga Swiatek. Swiatek, absolutely the talent in the world. I always say Iga Swiatek on a bad day could still beat all the best players on tour. It's not going to be a layup here for Sabalenka by any stretch of the imagination, but just given the unknowns for Iga Swiatek at this moment and what we've been seeing out of Sabalenka, in my personal opinion, I would expect Sabalenka to keep it. Not going to be surprised if Swiatek is the one that does it, though. This is a race for the world number one. It's going to come down to the WTA Finals at the end of the year. You can't ask for much more. A lot of exciting tennis still left to be had here in 2024.